All right, so in this training, what we are going to go over is what are macros and why should we track them? So, what are we going to go over in this lesson? So, in this lesson, what we are going to go over is what exactly macros are, what each macro does, and why exactly it matters, why tracking your macros actually matters, how to get started tracking your macros, and bonus tips to make tracking your macros a lot easier. So, let's go ahead and let's dive in. So, what exactly are macros? Macros are a short term for macronutrients, the three main nutrients that provide calories and energy. So, macros equal protein, carbs, and fats. So, now what I want to talk about is calories per gram and how these will affect you. So, protein has 4 calories per 1 gram. Carbs have 4 calories per 1 gram as well. And fats are the most nutrient dense with 9 calories per gram. And a bonus tip just for everyone who drinks alcohol, that is 7 calories per gram, which is not essential, but hopeful, but really helpful to mention actually. So if you drink alcohol, you can see how it'll be so easy to, actually go over your macro goals and go over your calorie goals because it has 7 calories per 1 gram. So, what decides how many calories your body needs in order to support your goals? So, what that would be is TDEE or total daily energy expenditure. So, this is basically just how many calories your body burns daily throughout things like basic movements throughout the day, like walking. If you're sitting here, you're tapping your feet watching the video, you're touching your face, whatever it is, that also burns calories. Digesting your food, your daily activity, your exercise, and just basically you living is how many calories you have each and every day that you burn. So it varies between person to person, and that's how you will determine how many calories you should be eating to support your goals. So if you want to lose weight, you eat less calories than you burn daily. And if you want to gain weight or put on muscle, then you just go ahead and eat a little bit more than you burn each day. And if you want to maintain weight, then you eat exactly how many calories you burn through TDEE. So now what I want to go over, since you have a pretty basic overview of what exactly macros are, I want to do, I want to go over what each macro does and why it actually matters. So first up, we got protein. This is the most important for fat loss and muscle gain. So this also protein goes a long way with TDEE because for this, digesting your food is also a part of your TDEE. So that is just the thermic effect of food is what it is called, or TEF. That is basically just how many calories you burn digesting your food. And protein is the highest on the thermic effect of food. So for this what protein does is help builds your muscle and repairs your muscle after you lift. This will also keep you full. This will preserve your muscle during fat loss. And some example foods for this is chicken breast, Greek yogurt, egg whites, turkey breast, protein shake, shrimp, protein powder, the list goes on. There's a whole bunch of protein sources. And next up, we got carbs. This is actually the second on the thermic effect of food. So this is second on how many calories you burn during digesting. So first is protein, next is carbs, then it's fats. So carbs, you'll burn the second amount of calories while digesting. So this is your body's main fuel source. So what this does is carbs fuel your workouts and recovery. They are your brain's preferred fuel choice. They refill your glycogen stores. And some example foods are things like rice, potatoes, oats, fruits, bread, honey, rice cakes, and there's so much more. Next up, we got fats. This is the lowest on the thermic effect of how many calories you burn while digesting the food because this one takes the longest to be able to actually digest and actually break down in your body. So you burn the least amount of calories while doing it. So fats are essential for your hormones and joint health. So these regulate your hormones, especially your testosterone, which is crucial for fat loss and muscle gain. So, what fats do is support your brain health and they really just satisfy you and keep you fuller longer. Some example foods are avocados, nuts, olive oil, whole eggs. So, with the egg yolks, salmon, those have really good omega 3s. They're not super fatty, but they have omega 3s, which is super good for you, and things like nut butters. Those are the type of foods that I see 90% of people actually overeat on are nut butters because a lot of people think one like heaping spoonful is a tablespoon, but actually that's usually about 3 tablespoons, which equals about like 3 to 400 calories. So that's one that I see a lot of people overeat on a lot. So fats, you really want to make sure that you're not eating too much because it's super easy to overeat and go over your protein, or not your protein, your fat goal and your calorie goal. So as you can see here on the right, this is how you should portion your plate. Majority of it should be fruits and vegetables, about like 45, maybe 50% of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. A very, very small portion of fats. I usually think that if you cook your food in olive oil, butter, or whatever it is, I usually say that you take care of your fats because fats, they go a long way. 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. So you just really got to be careful on how much fats you have. But if you don't, then maybe like a little bit of an avocado, that would be great. And then probably like 25% of your plate protein, which can be, whatever it is, fish, Greek yogurt, chicken, beef sirloin steak, ground beef, whatever it is. And then another 25 is starchy carbs, which can be things like potatoes, rice, oats, fruits, bread, honey, rice cakes. So you get it. So this is a good little example of how your plate should be looking every single time you eat. Okay, so now what I want to go over is why tracking your macros actually matters. Because now that you have a pretty good understanding on what macros are, I want to break down why tracking your macros actually matters. So, you can't manage what you don't measure. So when you don't measure or track your food, then you are constantly guessing on what's going into your body. And when people do that, they often underestimate how many calories they are actually consuming because most people won't take account for sauces that they put on, dressings. They won't account for the little bites that they take. You know what I'm saying? They won't account for any of that. So you often underestimate how many calories you're actually consuming, and that's why so many people gain weight when they think that they are actually in a calorie deficit when they're actually not, because there's so many hidden calories that you're not tracking. So that's why you have to measure and track your food constantly so you actually know what's going into your body. And next up, we got another important thing is calorie deficit. So if you are trying to lose weight or have fat loss, whatever it is, you need to be in a calorie deficit. And if you're not tracking, you're not going to be in a calorie deficit because you need to eat fewer calories than you burn. And without tracking, you're not actually going to know what's going into your body. So you're not going to know if you're for sure in a calorie deficit. So tracking just really lets you know and clarifies that you're actually in a deficit and not just hoping you are. Because when you do that, what it's going to do is make you burn out a lot faster because in your mind, you're in a calorie deficit, but in reality, you're not. So it's going to make you burn out. It's going to make you discouraged, and it's not going to make you want to try ever again. So why track your macros and not just your calories? So I see a lot of people say, "Yes, I just track my calories, not my macros." And what I feel like, yes, calories in, calories out do matter. At the end of the day, it's how many calories you consume. If you're still in a calorie deficit, that's fine. But when you're just tracking your calories, you can eat 2,000 calories of just straight junk and still struggle to lose fat or build muscle. But on the other hand, if you're tracking your macros, then you can have 2,000 calories with the right macro balance, giving your body the energy and the fuel that it actually needs to change. So instead of just eating 2,000 calories of straight carbs, you have it split up between protein, carbs, and fats to give your body all the nutrients and everything that it needs to actually make the changes that you're looking for. So now what I want to go over is how to get started tracking your food. So step one is set your calorie goal. I would suggest using a coach's guidance. And if you're not already one of my clients watching this, then I highly recommend either getting a coach or DMing me and seeing exactly what it would look like to work together so I can help you set your calorie goal, find out your TDEE, and be able to actually set you in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus depending on your goal. Step two is set your macros target. So for protein, you want to aim for about zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And fats, you want to have that about 20 to 30% of your total calories because you don't want it taking over a lot of your calories because if so, then most of your meals are going to be super small and it's going to make your brain think that you're a lot hungrier than you actually are when you can be eating a whole bunch of more carbs. You know what I'm saying? You can have 200 grams of carbs for the exact amount of calories as 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So really just make sure that that's only 20 to 30% of your calories, as that will just be enough to be able to support your hormones, your testosterone, and give you all the hormonal functions that you need. And carbs, after you have your protein and your fats figured out, carbs are going to be the filler. Just have the carbs fill the rest of the calories that you need. Step three is use food trackers like MyFitnessPal to actually track your food. So try and track everything. Yes, those little bites that you don't even think matter, because they actually do matter. They add up quick, and by the end of the week, if you just go into the kitchen every, few hours, you grab a chip and you just eat one chip thinking, "Oh, that's not going to do anything." By the end of the week, that can add up to an extra 1,000 calories that you didn't even account for. So really make sure that you track everything, and make sure you track everything in grams, and even those little bites that you really don't think are going to affect you, because in the long run, they might actually affect you more than you know. And step four, yes, it's a little counterintuitive, but it's something that I really want to preach, is don't aim for perfection. Just aim to be consistent. If you are hitting your macros 90% of the time or 80% of the time, and you're actually tracking your food, you're not taking those sneak bites, whatever it is, don't aim for perfection. Just aim to be consistent. If you miss it maybe 20% of the time and you hit your macros 90 to 80% of the time, it's okay to be off by a little bit. What matters most is that you're aware and you're actually aiming in the right direction and you're consistent over time. Because again, the majority of your calories, if majority of the time you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. If majority of the time you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to gain weight. So you just got to really make sure that you're aware and you're aiming in the right direction for your goal. So now what I want to give you are some bonus tips to make tracking 10 times easier. So for this, in MyFitnessPal, what I would do is use meals to rotate often to really just simplify logging it. So find a few meals, plan a few meals that you are going to eat often, plan a breakfast, plan a lunch, plan a dinner, plan a few snacks, and then go into MyFitnessPal and save them as meals. So when you go, you already know what you're going to eat. So you don't have to plan ahead the next day. All you can do is be like, "Okay, what do I want? I want this. All right, perfect. All I need is, these ingredients. Perfect. Now it's already saved as a meal, as you can see right here. Then you would just click the plus and it would log all of the foods that you saved in the meal. And then you already know exactly what to eat. So it makes it super easy and super simple for you to stay on track and not have to do so much guesswork. Next up is weigh your food when possible, at least at first, because when you weigh your food at first, especially for the first like 3 to 6 months, it'll really help you get a grasp on nutrition and how many calories like it looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like a tablespoon of peanut butter. When you start tracking it, you're going to realize that it's a lot less than you actually thought. And as you do it for 3 to 6 months with all the foods, you're going to realize that you're actually eating a lot more than you thought you were. So it'll help you just gauge what you're eating, what's actually going into your body, and it'll make everything 10 times easier. And next up, focus on protein in every meal. If you're going to hit something and you're going to focus on something, focus on your calories and your protein first and foremost, because protein is the most important macronutrients, and your calories, you really want to make sure you hit your calories. If your carbs and fats are a little off, that's fine as long as you hit your protein and your calorie goal. And another great tip that I love to give to people that have a really busy schedule and know that they're going to be busy and not want to track their food the day of, then track it the day before. Pre-log your food if you're busy. Plan out exactly what you're going to eat the next day to be able to hit your macro goals. So as you can see right here, literally just go click at the top, move it to tomorrow. And then after you do that, log every single thing that you are going to eat. So then one, you already have structure on what you're going to eat throughout your busy day. And two, you don't have to worry or stress about logging food because it's already done. And now what I want to do is give my offer to help you. So if this helped clear things up and you want a little extra guidance with your own macros and training, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm always happy to point you in the right direction and kind of just build you out a roadmap. But if you still feel like you need a little extra guidance, then I do have a program called Team No Excuses that will do this all for you and take away all the guesswork while giving you structure in training, nutrition, education, and accountability. For training, what we will do is we will build you a custom training plan that fits your schedule personally. And for nutrition, what we will do is we will dial in your nutrition with macros built around your specific goals. Education, what we will do is we will actually educate you along the way so you're not blindlessly following a plan, but you actually understand why it works and why exactly you're doing it. And for accountability, what we will do is we will hold you accountable through weekly check-ins, progress tracking, and real coaching support the whole way. So again, you never feel lost or you never feel alone on your journey. So if you're ready to actually take action and make that change and take your first step, then go ahead and DM me after this video and let's book a quick call and we'll talk about your goals, what's holding you back, and then from there we'll go ahead and we'll map out a plan moving forward and see exactly what it would look like to work together. So I really hope that you picked up some knowledge and that this video helped, and peace.